This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and today on this episode, I have a special guest, Jessica. So Jessica and I work together in TV production. So from producing on some of your favorite shows to solo traveling to some amazing locations, she's now doing something even doper. Is that, I don't even know if that's a word.
You can make it a word. You can make it a word.
That's a word. But last month we were on a gig together and we saw each other and we were catching up, and she was telling me that she's converting a small school bus into a tiny home, and she's doing it herself. Like, and I just had to have her on the podcast because I think that's so dope. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you again for being a guest, and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love that you're doing this. Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Of course. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic today. Today's a good day. Yeah.
That's good. I like to hear it. Just before the call, we were chatting, and I told you that you're the second person that I know personally that is converting a vehicle into a tiny home. And I think that's so cool. Shout out to my homie Mina, who was a guest on a few seasons ago. But I think this is so dope that you're, one, converting it, two, that we just, like I said, we just spoke that you're doing it here in New York, three, that you're a woman of color. Like, yo, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty dope.
to kind of, like, if I to get in a backstory how I even came about this, like, I first discovered this around like 2015-ish, right? I just came back from living in the West Coast, and I was living in Cali at the time, and I like stumbled upon it on like YouTube, and I seen like people like, cause I'm a sucker for like those old Volkswagen little hippie cars, like think of like the Scooby-Doo car. Like I used to have been a sucker for those. So, and I used to see people like have those converted out, and I used to be like, yo, those, I think it's a Winnebago, maybe. I don't know. But I was just like, yo, this is like the coolest thing ever. And I always wanted it. And so then like I started seeing more and more videos, and then they went from seeing the Winnebagos to seeing Sprinter vans and like Ford vans. And I was just like, okay, so this is a thing, like. And it started becoming like more and more popular, and I like loved it, and I was like so obsessed with it, and I used to like watch all the tour videos and be like, oh my god, this is so cool. And I love the idea of like living for free in a sense. And I was just like, oh, one day I would want to do this. One day it'd be cool to do this. Like, it became a one day. And then fast forward to 2020, the pandemic happened, and I was just like, man, I'm so tight that I'm still here, like stuck indoors. Like, if I had a conversion, I would have been able to like still be traveling, be out here in these streets and not have to worry as much, and I would have loved it. And I'm an outdoors person, and living in New York, if we want anything outdoors, we have to go all the way upstate. And that's a couple of hours. That's like a weekend trip. That's not like a one day, couple of hours go back. I mean, there are certain hiking trails that you could do, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the essence of it is it's a thing you have to well thought out and plan, and like well in advance. It's going to be a couple of days. It can't just be a quick thing. Like living in California, you could just, there's so many hiking trails, you could just easily just like go to one and come back home and be back within like less than 5 hours. So I just wanted to be in nature during this time, and like during the pandemic, it started to blow up more so on the East Coast. And like, I knew of it being a thing on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, I started seeing more and more people doing it. And then during the pandemic, you started to see more and more videos of people building and converting new vehicles. And I went from like loving the idea of doing a Sprinter van because it was just like convenient and small enough. Then also to the fact of like, after sorry,
It's fine.
so it was a matter of afterwards afterwards, like people coming, it becoming a big thing, and I started seeing like also school buses, people doing like the yellow school buses, turning those into conversions. And then I was just like, all right, let me start thinking of saving up to like actually do it. Like now's the time to do it, if not ever, right? So it started to become from I wish one day to okay, the time is coming now. And then I like in January of 2021, I was on a gig, and my AC at the time, he was telling me how he had got a bus, but like a old tour bus, and it like was converting that to live in it full time, not just travel and be like to full time living.
Wow.
And I was just like, yo, my God, it's so and like he was just telling me his ideas, and because I've like researched this and been watching this, I had so many sketches of what I thought my rig would look like, or like if I was to build that one with the possibilities, and I started like speaking to him about his ideas and like what I wanted to do, and like started to become more and more realistic for me, like during this time. And I was like, that's crazy. It's like just a couple of weeks ago I said I really was gonna do it and get serious, and then not working with this guy. Like I meet this guy and he's telling me how he's doing it, and like he told me like he showed me like ways to get a bus for cheap. And like I was speaking to him, and because I was looking to buy a brand new like Sprinter vans, and around this time it was like a high demand for like Sprinter vans, and like they were all on back order because so many people were buying them to do conversions, whether that was a passenger van or a cargo van. Like they were just on high order. And then like other people were telling me like Mercedes a Sprinter is like, if anything happens on the road, it's gonna be hard to find mechanics, like you're gonna have to go to a Mercedes dealership. So I started looking to like the Fords, and then I was like, okay, but I was always thinking of buying something from scratch, because the idea was just like, if anything happens, it'll be less maintenance if I buy something brand new. But again, supply and demand was not having that to be my thing. And then he was just like, yo, why don't you just go to an auction? I got my bus from an auction, and you literally, all you really want is the bones in the engine. Like, because you're gonna demolition all of it. You're gonna take everything out, and you're gonna put what you want in. All you really just need is the body of the bus and the engine. I was like, now you're talking and you're making sense. So I was just like, yeah, that's worth it. And then he showed me like auction sites where to go to get buses for cheap, and I was just like, wow, the idea of spending 50 grand on a brand new vehicle versus spending like $4,000 on a vehicle, it's like, like, you know, it's starting to look more realistic. It'll take a little bit longer to do the 50 grand because I just don't like that.
Right.
So I don't want to pay for it up front.
There you go. There you go. That's right.
And then versus like just putting up $4,000. I got the $4,000. I could do that right now, and it's looking like this is becoming faster to become a thing. So then after that shoot, we came back to New York, and I just started looking. I was on this auction site, like looking, putting in bids for certain things, and I had a threshold. Like I was like, I'm not going over this amount. And it took a couple of months. It took like that was like February we came back. So from February until June, I was looking at buses. And I actually, funny story, like this bus that I got, this actual bus, when I first saw it, I was like, yo, this bus is mine. Yeah, it's mine. It's mine. This bus is mine. I put a bid in it, and I lost the bid. Like literally 2 minutes before the auction ends, someone outbid me, and I was so upset. And I was like, forget it. So then I was like, but I still felt it in my soul like this bus was mine. So I put in an auction for another bus, and I won that bus. But now when it was time for me to like pay and go arrange to get the bus picked up, the guy told me that I wouldn't be able to just drive off the lot. I would have to find a tow truck. So I was trying to find tow trucks in the area, and this is all the way in like Texas, like close to like Mexico. Like it was like basically like a couple of like, I feel like you take 2 steps and you was in Mexico. Like it was like so close to the border. And so I'm like researching. I remember being, because this was like May, around, I was on an upfront. So I was I'm like at work trying to find tow trucks and service mechanics in the area to help me get this bus and see if I could arrange for them to like get me a tow truck. Left messages and at so many different places, and no one called me back and no one heard. And then this guy that I was working on that upfront with, he was just like, you should go check like the Carfax, because he like does this like on the side with his cousin. He like deals with dealerships and buy used cars, fix them up, and resell them. So I was like, you making some sense. Let me go look. And he was like, just pay. It was like $20 to like pay to see like the car history or something, because the VIN number was there. And he was like, all you need is the VIN number. We looked it up, and the history and accidents on this thing, I was like, he was like, I don't know much about cars, but I just even looked at it and I was like, this is a lot. And then Steven was like, yeah, it's not worth it. I don't think you should get this. And I was like, I knew it. And in my soul, I didn't feel it. And the fact that tow trucks wasn't getting back to me, or mechanics weren't getting back to me, I was like, it's all a sign that I should not get this bus. I felt it. So I didn't pay it. Then like a week or two later, I got hit up from the person that was selling this bus, and they were like, hey, the person faulted on the person that won the bid, they faulted on the payment. So since you were the second runner up, do you want the bus? I was like, yes, I knew this was mine to begin with. Give me my bus.
That's right.
This bus was mine. I felt it in my soul. And so they were like, yeah, you got 30 days to pick this up. And I was like, alrighty, cool. We're going to figure this out. So now I had to figure out, because at the time I was living in Atlanta, because I was working on a show in Atlanta, and I was like double dipping. So like I came to New York to like go to work on the Upsons, but I was still technically working in Atlanta. They just didn't really know what I was doing. And so I was like, damn, I'm living in Atlanta. Where am I going to leave this bus? Where am I going to find it to like a location and like all this stuff? Now, let's just say everything happens on God's timing. The show I was working for in Atlanta was actually, it was a pilot show of a celebrity sprinter company that normally like does these renovations. They hook up like the name of the company is Celebrity Trailers. They hook up like celebrity trailers online. So think of it as like Pimp My Rides, but for like RVs and sprinters.
Yeah, I've seen something like that. I don't know if that necessarily show, but I've seen something like that. Yeah.
Yes. So I was just like, how convenient is that I'm working on this show and I've been trying to do this around this time. So that's the kind of reason why I decided to work on that show, because I knew I wanted to do it. And my LP that brought me on, she was like, I knew you were talking about wanting to convert this. I just feel like this is a perfect fit for you. I was like, it sure is. So then I was just like, and then around the time I was like, I wonder, and I was just that main point of contact with the person that owned the warehouse that we were doing these conversions in. And him were cool. So I was like, I wonder if he will allow me to come park the bus here. So then when I flew back to Atlanta, I like end up having a conversation with him, and he was like, yeah, you could keep it on the lot. I said, say less. So I ended up flying me and my dad out to Indiana to go pick up this bus. We drove from Indiana all the way to Atlanta, and I ended up been doing, and I kept it at the warehouse. I flew my dad back to New York, and in Atlanta is when I ended up demolishing the whole bus, and I did that all by myself. And it was so funny because like I don't think I would have been able to demo it anywhere else if it wasn't for that place, because like they had dumpsters and everything that I could just put things at, and like the point where like when I got rid of my seats, I was gonna sell the seats to like a junkyard to get money back for it, because like they would buy the metal and scraps. And kid was like, hey, can I get the scraps? And I was like, yeah, sure, take the seats out. And I literally undid the seats and everything, and they were just all in one corner of the bus, but I didn't want to lift it out of the bus. And when this crackhead came up, I was like, yeah, sure, less work for me. Take it, do whatever you want. Literally him and his, I don't know where she was, but some woman that was with him, they literally like took all the metal and stuff that was out, all the seats out. There was a wheelchair lift that I ended up coming out. The AC, like the guys at the shop helped me take down the AC that was in the back of the bus. Like, so it ended up working out perfectly, because like the things that I needed help for, they were around to help me. Like I was trying to come, like right before I was leaving, so I ended up coming back to New York because I took another gig here. So when I was on my way leaving and to one of the guys where I was like, yo, can you like convert this and push it to make it a push start? Because it's a 2010. So I was like, can you like update it and make it push start? He was like working and doing what he had to do. Like he was like down to like do it. Unfortunately, there was a part that was missing. So he couldn't finish it. But still, it was just like the fact that like I had these guys on deck to just help me if I wanted any options or opinions or like any of their feedback. I would just talk to them, and they would be like, hey, give like one of the reasons why I didn't take off the roof off the like because if you watch YouTube conversions, people literally tear everything out. And one of the guys at the shop, Tom, he was just like, yeah, you really don't need to, because the same insulation, you're going to take it down to re-put insulation in it, and the same insulation is only like a little bit better. It's like 2 points up from what's the insulation in it. You really don't need to do all that work. Save yourself the trouble. Just leave the ceiling on and put your new ceiling that you will put on over it. And I was just like, bet. Like that's just like one less trouble. Like even when I was putting up the walls and stuff, he was like giving me ideas and like how to perfectly lay. And I was like, I'm going to take your opinion because you're the expert. I'm not the expert. I just build these, but I've never lived in one of these. You're going to be living in this. So also take up other people's options and considerations too. And I was like, you're right. But it was just very helpful to have them in the beginning stage and hearing their thoughts and feedback. So then after I finished demoing, I drove to New York with it, and it was basically an empty case, like just an empty shell. And I started during that time, and like it was on September, I started like building stuff. And I started like, my dad like does construction, so I wanted to reseal all the windows because I know that when I got this box, I knew there was a few leaks. So I knew I had to redo some stuff on the ceilings and like redo some of the subfloors and stuff like that. And like I've known from watching YouTube videos that people talk about like these types of the buses in particular, like the windows is a main point of leaks. So I was like, I wanted my dad, before I started putting up any furniture strips or anything, I was like, can you just like re-put in all the windows and like take them out, reseal them, and like put them all in? I mean, I'm glad he did it, but my man took like 7 years just to do that. So that delayed this process for about 8 months, because it took him that long just to do it. And I couldn't do anything until he redid that because I was putting the furniture strips in between the windows. So it was just like, I couldn't do that until he redid all the windows. So that delayed this build. I could have had this finished by now, but like I delayed it. That delayed it by 8 months, I'm gonna say. And then I started traveling a lot last year, so I was constantly out the country. Like every other month I was gone, so that didn't also help with the build. And then August of last year, I was like, all right, I'm gonna spend a whole month of August working on it. And I started working on it, and we got a lot done. I got a lot, like I did the partition doors. I built like the shell for the house batteries and all that. I built like the kitchen sink area, and it, like where it holds the water tank. It holds the water tank and like the kitchen sink and like the cabinets on that. I made the whole bench area. So I did a lot within that month, and then we've been on and off working ever since then, from August. And recently, like in May, like the bus broke down, so like I can't move it right now. So like I've been waiting on mechanics to come like look at it and fix it, and like they'll say they're coming tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and they'll be like, oh, can't make it. They're just like dealing with faulty people. But then it's also frustrating because this is a diesel bus. There's very a minute diesel mechanics, so that's just been a little bit more difficult. But we still trying to get things done. Like in the past month or two, I made shelves, like for drawers, like to put clothes in. I made cabinets to go above the kitchen sink. Put a fridge in here. Like we've been doing some things we'd like to get it going. But it's just like I wish I could just like drive to Connecticut and unpack everything because it's hard to like work on the bus when there's things in the bus because I'm storing everything in here. So like just imagine like every time you're getting ready to work, you have to. It takes you like 30 minutes to just make a work area, and then you're like having to take all the wood out to cut the wood, and then like when you're like trying to go the next day, like end everything, you have to repack everything in the bus, and it's just like there's like stuff, and like if you see boxes and wood all on one side of the bus, and then you're like, okay, now I'm trying to work on this side. Okay, I'm done with this side of the bus. I want to work on this side, but it's like, where are these things are gonna go? So it's just like I right now we've been on a standstill, but I've been still trying to do little things that I can do. But until I get someone to like fix it so I could drive to Connecticut, we're gonna be on a standstill. But that's kind of been the journey of the bus. It's been a year and a half.
That's a hell of a journey.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a journey, and you're meant to do this. Like just everything kind of aligning. Like from you working on the show to them letting you like, hey, yeah, park it here, to you getting the actual bus that you're sitting in now. So, you know, you're meant to do this.
It's so funny that you say I'm meant to do this. Like when hiccups happen, like for right now when I'm on a standstill and I'm so frustrated because I'm like, am I really meant to do this? But then like I tell the story to people are like, yo, this is like in your dinner. But in my time, I'm like, I expected this to be done in like 6 months. Didn't expect this to be over a year later. We're still here. And like I expect it to be on the road right now. Like I'm kind of upset because it's summer, you know, all these national parks that I could have been at right now, like experience the warmth of it, and fall's about to come up, which is like perfect hiking season time, and it's like I just want to be on the road. And so like that frustration lies. I'm like, it makes me question, like, am I really supposed to do this? Do I just like end it all, sell the bus, start all over from scratch? Like, or when you hear people talk about like, oh, like my uncle was saying, like, this engine is not the best engine, it's gonna be a faulty engine, it's gonna give you problems down the road. I'm like, okay, so what if I buy a brand new engine? He's like, it's still the engine that they made. Like if you could get, he's telling me all these things, and I'm just like, so what are you trying to say right now? Like, should I sell the bus or not? like cause it's like the amount of money I put into this already, it's just like, bruh, like to start over from scratch would be devastating. And I want to see it through, but I'm also like, I don't want to just see it through just for the sake of seeing it through if I'm not going to be able to actually use it to its fullest potential. So I'm just like, let me know now before I put any more money into it, what I should do or what I gotta do, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where we're at. But like I do feel it in my heart that this is where I'm supposed to go, and I know like this is not gonna be my first build. I mean, I'm like my first and only build, like my last build. Like I'm gonna have other builds coming later down the road, but I kind of like want to just finish this so I could be like, well, I got all the hiccups and all the like bad things out the way. Like I never thought I would have to deal with electric, and building a whole electric bank. That was the most scariest thing in the world. But like after I did it, I overcame, and I was like, yo, it's just like when you finish the task, you're like, yo, I can actually do a lot more things that I think I'm capable of doing. You feel empowered, and that's kind of what I love about this whole experience. It's like the empowerment and the courage and the confidence I gain from every little thing, because like I don't know any of this thing. Like this is not my background. Yeah, my dad has a background in construction, but he's not helping with the whole thing. The only thing he's really done is just give me tools. Like, so he's me a few money and tools, like great, but like I'm still having to learn everything. And even if I come to him and ask him certain questions, he's used to working on houses, not something like this. This is a different beast. Like this is a moving vehicle. Like it's not meant technically to be lived in, but you're making it be livable. So it's like there's curves. Everything with him is squared, but there's like a bus is not squared. There's curves. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's challenging for him too. So it's a learning curve for all of us. And it's like the other day I didn't have anyone to help me, so I literally just put up cabinets by myself, and like the way I was just Afro engineering stuff to like help me hold up one end of the cabinet, and it was like I like afterwards I had to look, I stepped back, I was like, wow, I really just put this up on myself. Like if I wasn't recording everything, like Imagine if I just imagine telling someone like, yeah, I put that up all by myself. I didn't do no help. You know, people are like, yeah, okay, sure. You're capping. Like, that's a lot. But I'm like, I got video footage to prove. Like, I literally just did this by myself. Like,
Right.
and
I
that's
did
the
that.
only- like, I did that, and it's like, it's just, I love it. Like, I've, like, who I'm becoming, and like, I really realize, like, whatever I put my mind to, I really can accomplish. And that's one of the most beautiful things from this whole experience. It's just realizing, like, the untapped versions of myself I haven't experienced, and being like, yo, you really can do this.
We limit ourselves. We're like, nah, I can't do it. I'm scared. But in actuality, we can do a lot of things. You know, just have to just do it, and we'll
Yeah.
learn along the way.
And that's the thing, it's really just a learning curve. Like, once you get over the research process and the learning process, everything is smooth sailing. Like, for me, I'm a hands-on learner, so I could research things till my
Yeah.
face turn blue. I'm not gonna really know how to really do it until I just take things in my own hands and do it myself, because I could think it, I could swear I know it, I just read a lot, but I haven't realized I really could do it until I actually do it. Which could be said about a lot of things, but yeah.
Right? It can be life.
Life. It really are life lessons, the little sermons I be having after accomplishing things.
Right. I would be too. Like, can't tell me nothing. Nobody. Especially for a day. Can't tell me nothing. You know what I just did? Put up them shelves in that truck, in that bus.
Yeah. So it's been a rewarding experience.
I can just imagine, you know. And from hearing you tell, you know, the story and stories of the build, it's like, wow. Like, it gets me excited. Even though I don't think I'm anywhere near taking on a project like that. But I'm glad that I know people that do, and it gets me excited. It's just like, yeah, when you do something, listen, when you do something, like, yeah, I put up a shelf, I did this, I did that, you can send me a picture, it's going to get me excited, because it's like,
Yeah.
I kind of did it too. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like, yes. That's inspiration right there. Like,
Oh, that's so
yes.
funny. That's so funny. But yeah, I get it. And it's so funny that I
No,
don't
it's-
realize how inspiring it actually is, because for me, I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like, in a sense, I'm a fraud, but I'm not a fraud. 'Cause, bro, I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm guessing along the way. I'm looking at a couple of YouTube videos, YouTube University, you know what I'm saying? And like some prior knowledge, and like just going off of what I want and what I think it's going to be acceptable for me and what my needs are. Just like, you know, living in this, like, at the end of the day, I want to travel in this, but I also want to live in this for a couple of years. Just to like, I don't want to pay rent. If we're being honest, I'm not trying to have no expenses. And the
Okay.
thought of not, just being able to live in here full time, your water is going to be free. Or if you do, might have to pay for a few water or whatever case be, how much is that really going to be, right? But for the most part, you can find a hose and get some free water, right? Your light, everything is run by solar. So your light is, electricity is free, right? You're going to have a place to like actually live and stay. And I'm bougie. So like there's certain things in here that I'm having that I wouldn't even have in my actual apartment. Like I'm putting heated floors in here for the winter. Ain't nobody paying for heated
Ooh.
floors in my apartment. Like I'm not paying for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have a whole shower and stuff that I'm doing in here because people do their lives how they do their lives. I can't do the Planet
Right,
Fitness
right.
life. I'm gonna need a shower in here, right?
Yeah.
I know
Yes.
what my needs are. Sorry, this motorcycle guy. I know what my needs are. Like, and I'm a cook. Like, I fell in love with cooking, and like I cook everything from scratch now because I just don't trust America's food system. So I cook everything from scratch. I want like a big kitchen. Some people that does this lifestyle, they eat out, so they don't care for like a kitchen,
Yeah.
right? Like I originally bought a 4 cubic feet fridge to put in here, and after having it in here, I'm just like, this can't even hold but a little couple of bottles of water. Like I'm gonna need more than this to live in it full time. So now I'm like, okay, I need an apartment size fridge to
Fridge.
be in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like learning things along the way and like having things be for my need. But I really just want to cut down expenses and like it's so funny because when I used to talk about this idea to people, like they used to be like, I used to have guys that were like in their 50s, like doing security, like, but they were like former military people and stuff like that, and they were like, that's actually one of the best things you guys could do, like in your, if I was to do life again in my early 20s, I would do what you're doing. Like, go live, convert a bus, live in a bus, save up money until I'm ready to like buy a house for my family, or when I'm set, I'm good. Like, you just lower your expenses while you and travel the world, experience life, do the things that you
Right.
want to do, but you still are stressing about, because if we really think about it, like us in our, like us outside of the people that don't have kids, like for us that are just living and in our early 30s, like what crazy responsibilities do we really have besides our living expenses? And if we could cut that out, how much more of life can we really experience and live? Like, I don't want to wait until I'm old and like retired to
Tired.
start,
Right.
yeah, to start traveling and stuff. I want to experience life now that I'm young and active and my body can do the things that I wanted to do. And yeah, experience it now while also preparing myself for the future. And this is one of the ways I can see myself preparing myself for the future is by all that money I would spend in like rent and utilities and stuff, bank that money, because that's when I really look at it, that's my paycheck is going, and we live in New York. You know, this ain't cheap living in New York. So like majority of our paychecks is just going to rent, and it's just like, this is ridiculous. So if I, and it also, I'm not limited. I'm not bound to one place. Like I could,
Right.
if I could go wherever I want to be. If I want to go to California, I could go to California. I don't have to stress like, where am I going to stay? My house is me. You know what I'm saying? If I want to
Right.
go to Mexico, I could go to Mexico. It's just freedom of 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 freedom of limited to one location, and freedom from like daily expenses and like having stuff to set up for my future. And I think now, because of the pandemic, thank God for it, but remote is so much more available now. So looking
Right.
into remote work to sustain you is a thing. But then also like, how much money do I really need? You know what I'm saying? When I'm like, most I'm spending is food and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
bills, you know, my phone bill and stuff is not that much money, like internet and stuff. You know, there are some expenses that
Right.
come with it, but it's like not as much as like when you have an actual house that you're paying for.
You're absolutely right. And who's to say? I always say this, like, if you can do it now, do it. Whatever it is, do it, because you might not make it to next year. Shucks, you might not make it to tomorrow. So
That's
if
a
you are
fact.
healthy and you can do it and you have the funds to do it, do it. Because you might not be able to do it, later down the line. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Tomorrow
And you
is a
get me
promise.
excited about, right, it's sure it isn't. It sure isn't. So I just think about it like this, I'm going to do it. And you're getting me excited about like traveling, and you're right, traveling in, and I have looked into like traveling in a conversion van, but I'm like, I looked at the build and I was like, again, I don't think I'm ready for this, but
Well, what is it
I looked
that
at those prices.
what was the build like? The build like, what do
I
you
don't
mean by
know,
the build?
like building from scratch what I want. I
What is it
don't
that
know. I am not handy at all. I want something like you. I want a shower. I want a bathroom. I don't know. I don't know if I need heated floors. But I want a kitchen area. I have bikes, so a place to store my bike or two. A queen size or king size bed. A little seating
Yeah, that's
area.
all feasible. That's all feasible. Like my bed in here is a king size bed. I didn't have a king size. I was sleeping on a queen in my apartment. Like back in my apartment, I'm sleeping on a queen. In here, I get a king size bed. So you could find those things of luxury. Like you could. Some people have a garage. I sacrificed the garage.
Yeah.
But some people have a garage in their build, and they store bikes and stuff underneath there. Like I have like a makeshift garage. Like it's like in the back of where my shower is, because I fell in love when I was in Bali, and I fell in love with surfing. So I know I'm gonna have a surfboard. I'm thinking
Oh,
about skiing. So I'm like, okay, let me mentally prepare myself to put this somewhere. So like you could make the bill, and if you don't want to do it yourself, you could pay people. It's still cheaper than a house, you know. I
yeah,
just
no, it definitely is cheaper than the house.
it's so much.
It definitely is.
I'm just the type of person, like, I'm like, if anything happens on the road, I want to be able to at least. At first, I was thinking of working with a builder, because I was like, if anything happens, I want to be able to be like, I could fix it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in the
Right,
hands of somebody else totally. So I want to know how things work
right.
and how things came together, so it's easier for me to fix. So that's the only reason why I'm really like. Also, if I'm being honest, I'm cheap too, so I want to cost cut down the cost of labor. So I was like, let me just do it myself.
Yeah. See, that's me too. Cause part of me is like, oh, just buy something, but then I'm like, that's super expensive. Then the other part of me is like, build something. I don't know how to build crap. But then it's like the middle, like maybe work with a builder, work with somebody who has had experience building, and it's not going to charge me as much.
Yeah.
Or, right, lean on my friends and family who are handy and like, hey, can you
Yeah.
help me with this? And do
You'll
the
be
small
surprised.
things that I can do,
You'll be surprised how many people are gonna be like, "Yo, I want to help. I want to help. I love to help. I would help." Like when I was building this, I mean, granted, some of them just never showed up, but like a lot of my friends are like, "Yo, I would love," because people actually want to work with their hands, but they can't.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's not. I'm not gonna say they can't. They just haven't. So when you present them with an opportunity to work with their hands, and they're like, everyone's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll be down." And also, when you get more involved in this community and you meet people from this community, you realize how helpful everyone is. Like I was telling you before, like I'm seeing other people do bills just on this block where the bus is parked, and every time I pass by, I'm like, "Yo, if you ever need a helping hand, let me know." Like, when I was first doing this build last year, this guy that lived close by, he was like, "Yo, I just did a conversion," and he was like, he gave me leftover materials he had. Like, he's like, if you ever, like, you realize you meet people from this community, you're like, everyone's so friendly, and like they'll help you and they're willing to help, because everyone knows that, like, if it wasn't for
Yeah.
YouTube, half of us wouldn't be able to even know how to do half of these things. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we know
Yeah.
what it's like starting from the scratch. And like, hey, if you ever want to build something, let me know. I'm down to help. Like, even if I'm not finished, I'm still like, yo, I love to help like people and do it, because I know what it's like. And when you're in doing this, you know what wanting the help and having the help could do. So you're always like, yeah, let me help in any way I can, shape or form. Like, even if like you don't really need it, but just like, hey, it's just having that offering there.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
I would
I'm gonna
actually,
hold you to it.
I would actually do it, and I'd be like, so Tay, let's go on the road, and when we out,
Right.
because I listen. The way I look
Speak
at
of
it
it.
is, if I help you, I have more friends on the road with me.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
Right. You're right. So speaking of the road, where are some places that you plan to go? I know you mentioned national parks. Are
Yeah.
you gonna hit all 50 states? Where are you going?
One of the goals is, so this is I'll tell you the overall goal, but I don't know if it will be all done on this rig. I might have a second rig in half between it, but this is what goals I want to do. I want to go to all national parks. I want to visit all the national parks. I also want to go to all of Canada, South America. I want to drive this, obviously, all 50 states. So in Americas,
Yeah.
go to Canada with it and go to South America with it. And eventually, like, make my way to Africa. I would love to do van life in Morocco. When I was I fell in love with Morocco. I love Morocco to like one of the dearest places in my heart. And there's more to Morocco I want to go and explore, but I just know that there's certain serendipities that you'll find only in doing van life in Morocco rather than going with a tour guide. Like, it's just not gonna be the same. And there's this like, okay, so like, one of the things I want to do is camp in the Sahara Desert, but I'm bougie. Like, I could do the camping that they set up for you, but after like a day or two, I'm gonna be like, all right, I want my rig. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna want a place to like have home. So, and like, Morocco's so beautiful. So I do eventually want to go to Africa with it, but I'm probably gonna want
Yeah.
a smaller rig in Africa, just because trying to park and stuff, it's gonna I'll be better with a smaller rig. So it might not be done in this rig, but that's eventually the plan. And I would love to do van life in like Australia or Europe, but I doubt it will be in this rig. Again, it'll be in like a smaller rig, to do in Australia and Europe. But that's the plan.
Listen, if you need a producer for your reality van life all over the world, I'll be available.
I bet.
Just throwing that out there.
I got your bruh. I got your It's so funny
Oh
because everyone's
man.
always asking me when I tell them I'm doing this. The first question they ask is, "Are you recording everything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm recording everything." But I was recording it for my
Yeah.
documentation, and I was thinking of doing like a YouTube or stuff like that. But I didn't realize how intrigued other people would be to actually want to see what's going on taking place. So like I never thought about, oh, let me record the series of travel. But like now I'm like, yeah, maybe I could make a whole show out of this.
You can. You can. You really can. It's so interesting. And not only that, but your traveling itself, which I want to get into, right? You are a solo traveler, right?
Hmm.
Um, do you remember the first place that you traveled to domestically and internationally by yourself?
The first place I traveled to domestically by myself was California. And it was ironically after senior year of high school, I decided to move to California, and I took up, packed up all my things on a one-way ticket and go, and I went. And so essentially, that's kind of like a solo trip, but it was a solo move, you know.
Solo
um,
move.
but then, ironically, like my first solo trip was actually in California too. I drove up to Big Sur, went all the way to San Fran on the one, and came right back down all the way down to LA. But the first half of that trip, I had to actually started in Joshua Tree with one of my friends, and then she left me halfway through because she had to go to work, and I just continued going all the way up. So that's kind of ironic that it was kind of still California, but in a sense, yeah, California was the first domestic and international. My first international solo trip was Turkey. Yeah,
Ooh.
Turkey. Yeah, yeah. That's all. That's the
And
first
why'd you pick
international trip.
Turkey?
I didn't go with anyone. Um, because I went with a solo travel group, and they were hosting Turkey, and I've always fell in love with Turkey. Like there's certain things in Turkey that I wanted to see, and I like, I heard Turkey was so cheap, so I wanted the luxury experience on a dime. So I did. That's what I did in Turkey. I had a luxury experience, but not that expensive. Um,
Right.
and it was easier because I went with the group of other solo travelers, so I had a host, so I knew someone that was there local, and even though it was my first trip, I wanted someone local that was there and that I could kind of trust in a sense. And even though I
Right.
never did anything with the solo group before, I don't know why I felt like I could trust them, and I'm glad because on that trip, our host and our travel guide, they both fell in love with me, and like we're friends to this day. Like we still keep bunch of contact with each other on IG, and like the the host, like I ended up going back, like the travel guide, I ended up going back to Turkey like a couple of months later, and like she like helped me like arrange things to do while I was there, and like see other parts of Turkey that I missed the first time I was there. So it was great. And like I like now that I have friends that go to like are like they know I went to ask for recommendation. I'm like, yo, hit up TG. Like she's the perfect host. Like she'll give you whatever you're looking for. Like and like she's young and hip and like cater to different people. So like now I'm
Right.
like I feel like now I'm like picking up different travel hosts from every little country I go to be like, hey, you want a guy? Like in Bali, I got a guy. Like it's so funny because like my like my friend literally just went to Bali and she was like, "Yo, any recommendation?" I was like, "Just hit up Pancha." My friend went in May and I connected him with Pancha and like not. So I'm like, I feel like I'm just collecting little travel guides and connecting people for when they decide to go there. I'm like, I could give you someone that has would take care of you, and like they're all good people, which is amazing. And like my friends know how I travel, so it's like
Right.
I'm not it's like no disrespect to everyone travels different, but I'm no longer like one of those backpacker travelers. I'm not really trying to look to get hostels and stuff. Like I'm cheap, but I do like luxury, and I will splurge for a good time. So
Okay.
just finding people that I could trust and know that would take care of people in different places that I go. It's like it's been one of a rewarding experience, and I have friends everywhere now. So it's like I love. I'm like, okay, like I haven't been to London yet, but I have friends in London because I met them when I was in Bali. So it's like, okay, now I'm planning a trip to London. I could hit up my friends, and it's just like I feel like it's great to just have friends all over different countries. Which is actually it started off from my first solo travel when I moved to LA. I moved and I met some people from France and from Switzerland, and like I and from Norway. I didn't even at the time. Listen, me and Dre geography, it's not friends, but like I didn't even know Norway was a thing, and I met this guy, David from Norway, and he was the coolest person in the world, and I was just like, yo. And now so now I have friends, like if ever I want to go somewhere, eventually I'm going to go to Norway, eventually I'm going to go to Switzerland. I have friends like I can get up
Yeah.
and be like, even if I can't see them, just like, what do you recommend? Because when I travel, I like to be with the and do what the locals do. I'm not like different type of travelers. I'm not the person that want to do all the touristy things. I'll do some of them just for the sake of saying that I've done it, and if they really intrigue me, I will do it. But like I'm not doing all the touristy things. I want to do what the locals do. I want to immerse myself in the culture, experiencing things from like the locals' perspective. Like, because I love experience engaging in different cultures and learning
Yeah.
other cultures, and um I've lived in a melting pot my whole life. Like in New York, I love diversity, and I don't like to be
Right.
around one of the same thing, too many of the same things. Like I love being in diverse groups, and I love interacting and how people live and learning their perspective and how they perceive things. And like I'm not gonna lie, like my some of my friends joke like from traveling so much internationally and experience other culture. Like I come back and I'm like, I start to hate America and just like certain things that are programmed to be here, and the way that things are like you're taught to be in the mindset that you're taught here in the programming, and it's just like, but this is not. It's like you leave and you see like the real meaning of life and the things that are actually meaningful and things that are worthy of and like make sense, and then you come back and you're like, yo, none of this is real. Like this is all. I feel like I'm living in an assembly. Like this is like fake. Like I feel sometimes I'm like, am I a Sims or something? Like am I the Sims? Like the character playing me? Like because this cannot be real life. And it's like you go and you get. I feel like you touch with actual reality of like the things that are important, the things that should matter, and just and it's on things like some of the things that you take for granted, and some of the things that you don't realize are like serendipities that you have, that you actually be like, I'm so grateful for these things. Like start to
Right.
perceive
Right.
life a little bit differently, and you're like, wow, I'm grateful for these things that one time I didn't really care for, but like you see other people and how other people live, you're like, wow. and and I love learning from them and vice versa. And it's just like I remember going to Thailand, and we went to this little community called Lempong, and they're not used to seeing tourists because this is not a touristy area. This is like a little small village, like way like 2 hours away from Chiang Mai. Like it's not a touristy spot, and we went to this area. Me and my best friend at the time, we went to this area, and like people were like looking at us, like pointing at us, and like we're like scared, like what is going on. And next thing you know, we see an officer come up to us and but because he's speaking in Thai, because he doesn't speak English, because this is not a tourist area, so he's speaking to our
Right.
translator, and we're like, yo, are we in trouble? Like what did we do? Like are we going to get arrested? Why is this officer like pointed at us? and it's obvious that they're talking about us, right? So it's just like mad weird. and then and then she just literally turns over to us and he was like, oh, he's trying to ask if he could take a picture with you guys. And I'm like, me and my best friend started dying laughing because we're over here stressed, sweating, like thinking we're about to get in trouble, we're about to get locked up, we're about to go to some foreign jail. All this guy wanted was just a photo because they've never seen black people before. It was just like very funny to us. And like, but we're like, yeah, take a picture. Sure, no problem. But it's just like seeing things and feeling appreciated. Because of course, we're from America. As black women, we're the least respected in this country. So it's like going to other places and feeling appreciated and feeling loved just for who you are, where you live in a country where you're hated for just being who you are. And it's like, I can't change the fact that was born this way. Like, you know, I can't just rip off my skin and be like, hey, my pigmentation has changed, let me take out this melanin. But you go into to other countries and people see that and see your difference and love and appreciate it, and they like admire your difference and they're like asking to take pictures with you. You feel like a celebrity and you're like, oh, why leave? I mean, after a while they do get annoying. You're like, all right. Like after a while we were like, we're like, all right, we're gonna start charging 50 bahts, bro. And they're like, no. Then we're like, no.
Right. That's right.
But it's just feeling the other hand in life. And I get it. Everyone always wishes they could have the things that they don't have and they want the other, but it just feels great sometimes to just feel celebrated just for being you know, and especially growing up in here. But like also like you realize certain things as like America really isn't, like, you realize the program that you got was so messed up, and you see how other countries view you. You're like, wow, we really ain't that hot shit that we thought we were. Like, we weren't that guy. We weren't. But here, everyone makes it. The propaganda is so real. Like, they make it seem like other countries are looking at us like, oh my God, you're number one, and it's like, we're number one in nothing besides war. Like, the things that actually matter, like, we come dead ass. Like it's so funny. Like, it's so just like, and you go to France and you hear how these people, like the French, make fun of the mindset of Americans, and you're like, y'all not wrong. Like, I kind of hate it too. Like, but you see, like, oh, the propaganda that they try to explain to us, like, countries do not view us as that. Like, they actually high-key hate us, you know what I'm saying? Like, they be like, oh, you Americans, and they're like, and you kind of be like, I can't blame y'all. So like, when I travel, I don't tell people I'm American unless you see that blue passport, and I try to hide it. Like, I'll tell you I'm Jamaican, and I put out my Jamaican passport on top of my American passport, because I'm just like, yeah, I'm Jamaican, like, before I'm American.
Listen, and I think too, with like traveling and being here in America, it's not always what it seems. Like, when you go to these other countries, you get this like, oh, this place is dangerous, this place is like this place is like that, and then when you go to it yourself, you're like, you know, I didn't feel any type of way. I you know, everyone has a different experience when they travel, but the way that it's pushed, like, don't go to these places, don't go, unless I speak to someone who is like from here, and that is like, you know, says, hey, you know, it's kind of dangerous around here, but you'll be fine if you do this, you do that. When I told people I was going to Turkey, when I told people I was going to Vietnam, it was kind of like, what? Like, what? Like, why are you going there? These places, don't go there. Egypt, don't go there. And it's like...
But the funny thing, those are the places that have the most beautiful, like, architect and history and culture, and they're so rich in it. And it's like, why were y'all telling me to not travel, like, to miss out on all this beauty? You're like, what? Like, have y'all been, like, you start the question, like, have y'all been here? Like, because I'm like, what are you trying to keep from me? Like, these places,
that's what I want to know. And the people were nice to me. I didn't feel any type of way. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was going on different like Facebook groups and looking at like what people were saying about different countries, and they were like, oh, I had a horrible time here, I had a horrible time there. And after I got back, I was like, I had a great time. Like, nothing, I didn't feel that way. It was great to me. I had a good time. I would recommend going, you know. So
like, I can't think of one country I've been to where I'm like, I would never go back there. I can't fathom. And sometimes maybe it's the people, you're like, oh, you didn't have the best experience with that people, but the country itself,
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no, like,
Right.
I remember going to Thailand and being like, yo, this is, and you find similarities because I'm like, yo, this is literally like New York, but me and my friend was joking. We were like, but this is the Bronx because it's low key dirty. Like, but it's like literally like New York.
Wait. No, no. Listen, there will be no Bronx slander on my podcast.
I'm just saying. But it was so clean, like the way, like they are on trains too. They have public transportation, but like this, like when, like, come on, in New York transportation, people don't even let you come out the doors first before they're trying to come in the train. And like in Bangkok, everyone like there's a space that you stand in if you're waiting to go in, and the people come out from the middle, and once everyone leaves, then you start to line up. Like they have it's like it's structured without having you to implement structure, if that makes sense. It's like
Right,
people are just born with these things, and they're like common courtesy. Let me think of my neighbors. Like they have to leave before I enter. And like trash is like they're not littering everything, and it's not dirty. It's like it's just like clean. And it's just like, wow, there's so many similarities. This is like being like home, but it's just in a different country. And like when you travel, I'm pretty sure you've probably discovered this too. Like you could find your hometown in every little country you go into, every little crevice of the world you could find, and you realize like people are so similar. We just live in different countries and have different resources, but we're all so similar. And I could see different neighborhoods in other countries, and I'm like, the like structure might look different. Might look more modern than the other, but it's like I could see the people, the community, the way they interact, the way they look out for each other. Like you see those similarities back here at home, so you could see your life there, and it's like, oh, we're all the same, no matter where we go. Like you'll find people that are very similar all over the world.
I agree with that, and that's why I think people should travel and see for themselves. And like you said, immerse themselves in the culture and see different cultures, be around different things. You know, we are very similar. We are very similar. No matter where we are, we're very similar. So I agree with you on that. If you could describe solo travel for you.
One word? Jeez, that's going to be
all right,
hard.
A phrase. All right.
One word. I would say, if I was to say one word, I would say liberating. Yeah. That's how I would describe solo travel, liberating.
And why would it be liberating?
Because, okay, this is why I'm gonna go into this tangent. This is why I'm a huge advocate for solo travel. It's because you find more about yourself than you never knew before. And it's like, we'd like to think that we spend a lot of time with ourselves. Trust me, I like to be isolated away from human beings. Like, but you don't really spend time with yourself. You're just with yourself. When you solo travel and you're in a new place, in a new environment, around new people that don't have expectations of you, you get to be who you want to be in that given moment, and you're not limited by what people expect of you, or people expectation, or how people perceive you. You're like, y'all don't know me. If I want to be a pirate today, I'm a pirate today. If I want to be an angel, I'm an angel. Like, you don't know me, and I get to experience in different parts of myself that I've never got to experience before, or I might feel limited or afraid to experience back home. Because we all have those friends that, like, when you trying to develop and change yourself, and they're like, who are you? You acting brand new. I don't know this version of you. You don't get that because these people don't know you. So you get to experience yourself like you've never done before. And you're like, I like this. I don't like this. Oh, I thought I liked this, but I really don't like this. And you're like, did I like this because of the people I were hanging around with? Or did I like this because this is actually what I like? You're like, you get to try on different, because we all live as different characters. Every day we wake up and we leave our house and we're putting on a different character. Whatever that character we want to be that day. Now, some people are consistent with the characters we show ourselves, and some people like to explore and change it. You have less limitations when you're in a foreign place that no one knows you. And I don't think I would have discover so much about myself as I have in the past 3 years if it wasn't for solo traveling. Um, because you're really like when I was in California, I was spending time in the mountains, just me and God and nature. And I love nature. It just it's like being connected with your roots because we literally came from dirt. So like to go back and be with nature and just seeing God's beauty and the awe and all his creation is like breathtaking to me. Like and just hearing the natural sounds of like rainforests and the birds and like all these things is just like a very um uh like like the word I'm looking for is like harmony. Like it's a very like sync place. Like it's very like ooh like coming. And I just love being around water. Like it's just something about water for me. It's just like ooh. But
It's peaceful.
it's very much so peaceful. But just sitting there and like doing like learning about myself, discovering, doing work, asking myself the tough questions and like that I haven't asked myself before, or like not trying to live in this persona or who I think or of other people expectations on who people want me to be, and just being me and trying new things without someone giving you pushbacks, you know what I'm saying? And I just tapped into so many different versions of myself that I didn't feel restricted to while I was here and away from people that know me. And it's not to say that like some may perceive like, oh, you're just being fake, and it's like, no, I'm not being fake. I'm actually for the first time being me. I feel like we are more so fake when we're around people that have expectations of us because we try to live in their persona or the way we want to be perceived. Whereas when people don't know you, there's no way you want to be perceived. You're just being you. And I think that's the most liberating thing. And that's the one of the most things I'm grateful for about solo traveling, was really discovering myself. And I was like, here's the thing, like when you solo travel, you don't have to compromise with nobody. Like when you travel with a group of
Right.
people, you gotta make sure everybody gets to do what they wanted to do. Like make sure in the itinerary you get to do everybody's plans. Like you gotta wait on people. If people's running late, now you frustrated and all that stuff. Like you don't have to worry about nobody's time. You don't gotta think of other people being considerate of like, oh, let me rush because they got to do this, or they want to go here, or I'm not really feeling like doing this. But like if I want to sleep in today, I could just sleep in today, you know. If I want to explore, and I could explore, like if I want to walk a 5-hour journey, like go 10 miles, I don't have to hear other people complaining about, oh, why we walking. It's just like,
Right? My feet hurt.
you get to do you, and it's like I love it. I'm a total advocate. And don't get me wrong, like there are moments when you're like, I would love to do this trip, and there are moments when you're on the trip, you're like, so and so would have loved this, or so and so would experience this. But then also, like when you solo travel, it forces you to meet new people. Because when you go on trips with a group of people, like you're not forcing yourself to go out there and meet people, because you kind of like, I know these people, I'm here with these people, I'm good, like these are my people. But when you're there by yourself and with around strangers, you're like, oh, let me be friendly today. Let me meet new people. And I feel like half of the people I've met on this, especially last year, I don't think I would have met if I went to these countries with a group of people, because I would have been to my group. I wouldn't been as friendly or out there as I was, because I wanted to meet other people while I was there. Like one of my very good friends now, like I would damn near say my best friend, I met her in Turkey. Like I would have never experienced, and I'm so grateful to God for this friendship, because in the past this past year, like it's a running joke, like in February, no, I'm sorry, in April of this year, we went to Mexico, and it was just like, we went to Mexico and they were like, oh, are you guys celebrating everything? And we were like, it's our 1-year friend anniversary, like, because we met literally last year in Turkey. And it was just like so funny. Like I thought it was just a group of girls I was just gonna find traveling with, and to get this whole friendship out of it, like literally she's like my sister now at this point. I never would have experienced, because a year ago I didn't even know who this person is, and now I talk to this girl like almost every day, like, and it's like because we're still in that new friends, like we're still discovering each other, like our conversations be going on for 5 6 hours to this point. Is like we're like we gotta put ourselves on a timer when we speak, because we be chatting for days. But it's like it's one of the most rewarding friendships, and I've had with no expectation. Now, would have I met her if I didn't go to Turkey? Who's to say? I'm gonna say no, because she lives in Kansas City. I live in New York. Like, I wasn't. What am I going to Kansas City for? Like I would have never have met her nowhere else. Like, I remember being in Thailand and meeting someone that lived in Konarsi, and I met her at the buffet for breakfast. And I'm like, you lived a neighborhood over from me, and I would have never met you in New York. But we had to go on the other side of the world just for us to meet. Like,
wow.
Like literally, when I was in Morocco, I met a girl that lived on Flatbush. We lived one train stop away from each other. And I'd never seen this girl until we went to Morocco. And now I run into her all the time. Like, that's so crazy. Funny. So it's just like, would I have met these people before? Who's to say? I'm gonna say no, but I've met these people on other sides of the world, and some of these people are close in my neighborhood, and I never met them until I left the world. So, and because I was by myself, it forced me to go out and speak to people and be like, hey, how are you? My name is Jessica, so that's one of the main reasons why I'm an advocate, because you get to discover yourself, and then also, like, you're not on nobody else's timing. You get to just do, but yeah, and then the people you meet, the friendships you meet. I think that's also one of the most enriching things too.
So now I gotta build a tiny home, school bus. I gotta solo travel. You convinced me. I'm doing all the things. All right.
That's the goal. That was the goal. That was the goal. Good.
Listen, by next year, I want to be like, I went to 5 different places by myself. I made all these new friends. And I'm working on my conversion, and I'm about to travel with Jessica. She's already out there, but we're going to meet up. We're going to go. Okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What is one of the most terrifying things that or the most frightening things for you about taking that leap for solo traveling?
It's not so terrifying. I don't know. No, I don't know why I haven't. Especially like, okay, in the States, I'm fine, right? Domestically, I could, but internationally, especially if I don't speak the language. I only speak one language, is English. So at least speak a different language, and it's like, ooh, okay, damn. And I don't know. Kiara, who was working with us on 4th of July, she's a big solo travel advocate as well. And she sent me some information, and I'm just like, all right. And then after talking to you, I'm like, all right, these are all signs of I just gotta go someplace. I just have to pick some place and go, and
listen,
maybe
I get it. I only know one language, and I barely know English. Like, I barely speak English correctly, and that's the only language I know. And I would say maybe what helps for you before you just take a random trip on your own, maybe find a group like because I get it, because for me it was international. Yeah. It was like scary going myself. Find a group of other solo travelers that's going together, of like women, right, or it could be mixed gender, but like find a group of people who are solo traveling, so you don't feel like alone, but you're alone, if that makes sense. Like, if you want, like, these people will help you. Like, they'll make the itinerary, they'll give you the travel plan, so it's less intimidating, and also you'll have someone there that is bilingual and that will help you converse with other people, and will translate for you. And if anything, they can also help you, teach you the language. I'm saying, like, I was starting to learn Arabic when I was in Morocco, because I was like, yo, Saeed, like, teach me some words, like, and they're friendly like that, like. Yeah. So if that's, I would say start that way. If you're hesitant because of a language barrier or whatever it is, find a tourist group that would, or if you want to do it on your own and you don't want to do it with a group of people, find tourist guides who are bilingual, so the activity you're doing, you're having someone that can translate for you and help you arrange like pickups and stuff like that. I think that for internationally, that would probably be the easiest first step. And then once you do that and you realize, oh, this is nothing, you'll take more, they'll take the courageous off, and like you'll start planning your own trips on your own. And then also you'll meet people when you go to these countries, and you'll find like-minded travelers, and you're like, let's book a trip together, you know, like I went and I found like-minded travelers, and now I've went to Tanzania with these kids. Like now we're planning to another trip to Liberia together. Like we're doing all these random trips because you find out, oh, other people want to go to some of the places that you want to go to, and you know, and you kind of like know how they travel because you kind of travel, you met them traveling, you know, and you talk about those things. So I think that would probably be the easiest first step for you. Find a group.
Thank you. I think that is like you said, I'm with people but I'm alone, you know what I'm saying? So get my feet wet, and then next place I'm going, I'm really solo dolo. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
If you want, I can send you like a few groups. That one that I used was called Lux Tribes.
Okay.
The thing about them, it depends on the location, what their group, like if you go to Bali with them, they got Bali on lock. They've secured that one in the back. Certain trips that you go with them is like a hit or miss. Like they're still figuring it out. You know what I'm saying? So certain locations it's good with them, certain locations not. Passport Society is another one that people use a lot. I know I've had a few friends that use them before. There's this all black girl travel group that my friend used before. So there's different groups. There's a backpacking group for people who just love to backpack. So I could send you some if you want. Just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I do want. I'm gonna make this a reality. I
love it. I love it. I can't wait. Yeah. When you go to your first one, you have to hit me up and be like, yo, I've done it, and tell me what your experience is. I just can't wait to hear your perspective from like the aftermath of it.
Okay, I will. All right, you'll send me some stuff. I'll do some research. I'll look at what Kiara sent me, and then I'm gonna pick a place. And next year, I'm gonna go on my first solo trip.
Let's pick a date from now. Like, let's lock it in from now. Pick a month. Let's pick a month.
Let's pick a month. Year? Oh,
what month next year will you take this trip?
We'll say August. That's enough time.
That's that's a whole year. That's a whole year from now. So by this time next year, you will have gone on your first solo trip internationally.
Yes.
I cannot wait. I'm excited for you, bro. Genuinely. I love it. Like, it's so funny because now, like, I have friends that, like, after advocating for solo travel, I have friends that are like, now, like, yo, you've convinced me. I'm about, like, one of my friends is like, she was scared to just do domestically solo travel, and she took her like first, and I'm like, girl, you work remotely, like, you got it so easy. This is a work trip. You don't even have to take off work. And she literally was like, okay, and like went to Dallas, and that was like her first solo trip, and even that she was just like terrified to do, but if she would do it, she's like, I could do this. And like now she's like starting to look up other trips that she's ready to do and conquer on her own. And I'm like, let's go. Like, it's just the first one, the baby one. You just gotta get out of your way, and you realize, oh, this is why didn't I do this more often? You know. And also, here's another thing. I'd rather someone take a solo travel than to wait on other people just to travel, because that's what happened to me. Like, if the real reason you're like, why Turkey was because I found this group and I wanted to go in Turkey, and I was tired of waiting for other people to go to Turkey. Like, everybody would tell you, oh, I want to go, I'm down, and then when it's time to come and actually book it, you get all the 1,000,001 excuses of why they can't go. And it's like, I'm not gonna miss out on this because you can't go. So I advocate.
That's right.
It's rather you take that solo trip than to just wait on other people to travel.
No, that's another thing I say. If I had to wait on people, I'll be waiting for a long time. I know the people who I can travel with, right? And recently it's been my mother, because before she didn't want to travel, now she's just like, I'm gonna go. So it's like, all right, I got a travel partner. You know, my niece just got her passport. She's like, I want to go. So it's like I have You're my best friend from college. Oh, I have these people, cousins that travel. So I have a good travel group. But it's like we all can't travel at the same time. Maybe some can't go while, whatever. And then
Scheduled,
it's like, ooh, do I wait or do I just go?
I say just
So
go.
just go. Okay. You could, like I said, you convinced me. You convinced me. You convinced me. Oh man.
But I can't wait till this
Are there
bus is
any?
done and I get to show you, like, get to give you a real tour and be
That's what
like, yo, look, come take us out. Shoot, if you want to take a trip together, we could go to on a trip somewhere together. Because I'm actually building this. I love hosting and I love having community. So I'm building this to where it has room to sleep for people. And if we really want something,
Nice.
possibly five, if someone wants to sleep on the floor, just put like a one of those, what those people use when they camp, like a roll up bed or
Sleeping
whatever,
bag?
like a sleeping bag. There we go, sleeping bag, and put on the floor. But yeah, it's being built to sleep for comfortably on beds. So
Listen. Yeah.
you have an open invitation once
I was
it's
just
done.
thank you. I was just about to say I have to have a tour once it's done. I think like for me seeing your van will just like inspire me even more. Like it's just like damn, now I really have to do this. Like seeing it in the flesh. Like shucks. Now it's so yeah. Whenever you are done, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. You're on a journey, and to me, it's like from solo traveling to your conversion. Like you said, it's self-discovery. You discover so much about yourself with solo traveling, and now with the van conversion. You're not just limiting yourself. You are doing things that you didn't think you could do or even wanted to do. Now you probably like, yeah, I'm gonna get up this morning and put some shelves up.
Yeah, you don't. I tell you, if I was to tell you the half of the plans that I have to come, like you not even expect like it, like oh, all this happened just because you wanted to travel and not pay rent. Like the ideas, like right now, I've been like, I can show you. Like, I've been sketching.
Yo,
I've been working on this, like. So you're gonna be like all this came from you.
Listen, that's so dope. Oh man. I want to say thank you again for being a guest. Thank you again for sharing all this information and inspiring me and others. And are there any parting words? Just do it.
Yeah, like
Just
we could
do
be
it.
a night friend.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Man. This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay. Thanks for listening, watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.